final topic, guys. Our top 5 favorite books. Now we do allow other things of print, such as magazines and things like that. So that rule is in there for me, probably.
This is the list of 5 books that Tim has read in his life.
Yeah.
Well, maybe less.
Well, I didn't take a long time doing this, and it's probably because I only have about 5. So
Yeah, but I wanted to include this specifically for Jeremy because I know you read a lot of books, and it's one of your favorite things.
Yes.
We probably wouldn't have done this category, top 5, otherwise. So thanks for being on the show to make us do this.
Yes.
Or not make us
welcome.
do this. You didn't make me do it. I actually suggested it.
Thanks for doing this for me, Tim.
Yeah, that's what friends are for.
Thank you, Matt, for not saying no.
No problem.
All right, I'll start off. My number 5 is not a book.
Magazine.
Already ruining this. I put the No Quarter magazines by Privateer Press for the War Machine and Hordes universe solely because they print tons of stories in them. So they're not necessarily a book, but you get like they'll run a story through like 5 or 6 page magazines.
Right.
They're bi-monthly. So once you get them all, I mean, I usually don't read them until I get all of them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll read it all. So tons of good story in there. I've really liked their writing style. Obviously it's about an IP that I really enjoy. So that's my number 5.
Got it.
Cool. I will mention this though, because I joke about only reading like 5 books. My wife, I'm going to brag on her a little bit. She keeps track of the amount of books she reads. She keeps a journal. Mm-hmm. And from 2008, she's read 419 books.
Dang.
That's crazy. That's like Rachel. She looks like Johnny Five from or whatever from Short Circuit. She read all right. Tangent. I have the Dexter books because I really like the show. She almost read the first Dexter book in an hour and a half. She was like 180 pages into it.
That's pretty crazy.
Because I was packing because we were moving to move in together.
Right.
She sat there and was just reading it.
I don't read that fast. I just read a lot.
At most it was 2 hours. It was ridiculous. She said it was very juvenile writing, but
I was gonna say it was probably easy for her to read it.
But she's a speed reader, so
yeah.
Anyway.
All right, but my number 5 is a book. They made a movie out of it, but I don't know what made me think to get this book, but it's The Road.
Jack Kerouac?
Yes. Or no, Cormac McCarthy.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. The
Who
name
was Kerouac?
I don't know, but it sounded familiar. But anyways, it's a movie. It's very post-apocalyptic, and it's about a father and a son like going on this trek, and they can't find food hardly anywhere. There's cannibals in the movie or in the book, I guess.
I was gonna say this was a movie, right?
Yeah, they made a movie out of it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, with the Strider, Vigo.
Really?
Yeah,
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Have you read this?
I haven't read this one. I did read No Country for Old Men, which if you like his style of writing, is really
it's the
good
same
one.
guy, right?
Yeah, same one. And All the Pretty Horses is another one by him that's pretty good.
I'm gonna be unpopular opinion here and say if I had a top 5 terrible movies, No Country for Old Men would be on it.
Really?
Oh, really?
I hated that movie. I did not enjoy that. The beginning was fun. But past that, I don't know. Maybe I just need to watch it again. But I was like so unimpressed.
Mm-hmm.
No, I forgot about that. But I meant to tell my wife to buy that book so I could read it. So I would have,
Was that a book too?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a book.
I bet it's a good
McCarthy.
book.
And then
It's a great book.
what was weird though was it was a lot of dialogue. It was a lot of just, because we're just walking a lot. Yeah. So it was just a lot of like dialogue. So it was a very easy read, but it was a good book.
Fair enough.
You didn't like There Will Be Blood, did you?
I haven't seen that.
Okay. If you didn't like No Country for Old Men, you probably wouldn't like that.
So Jeremy.
Right. Yeah. Mine. This took me a while, actually. These guys said I read a wide range of books, anywhere from Cormac McCarthy. I read sci-fi fantasy. I read theology. I mean, lots of different stuff that I read. I like to read a lot. Were we supposed to do our honorable mention now or later?
We're going to do it before number 1.
Yes.
Okay, before number 1. There we go.
So do your number 5.
Number 5, sci-fi book called Forever War, The Forever War by Joe Haldeman. I love this book. I like fantasy because it's fun. I like sci-fi because it's intriguing. So pretty much in this book, you got these people that they figure out how to travel faster than light, but they age slower than the world does. So it's less about the war they're going to fight. So they go out and fight this war, light years and light years away. But they travel 100 years and they've only aged, let's say 2 years. So the whole book is about when they come back to society, how do they adapt back into society when they're literally the oldest people in the world at that point? When you're 400, when you're 600, when you're 1,000 years older than society is, and society has changed, how do you adapt? What do things look like? How do you live?
Interesting.
See, my problem is I always hear people tell me stories like that, and I'm like, man, I'm going to go buy that book. And I have a bookshelf of books that I haven't read any of them. But at the same time, I do have a bookshelf of games that have shrink wrap games.
Yeah. And movies.
PlayStation.
Because you got it for $0.25.
Yeah. The only thing I don't have shrink wrap, though, is my board games. Because I find a lot of enjoyment with organizing them.
Right.
So, my number 4 is Fight Club. I think I like the movie way better than the book because I feel like the book is really small.
Mm-hmm. It is a smaller book.
It is a smaller one, yeah. He is a weird dude.
He is weird. Did you ever read Lullaby?
Oh, that guy
Chuck
just came.
Palahniuk or whatever.
He just came to Louisville, I think.
Because Fight Club 2, the book came out.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like a graphic novel, I think.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They're doing Fight Club 2, the movie now?
They better be, and I will be excited. They better have the same people.
Yeah.
So.
No, if you think he's really weird, he's got a book called Lullaby. If you read that, it's I can't even describe it. It's really short. It's like 120, 150 pages. But it's really weird.
Really?
Yeah. If you feel like hating yourself one day, read it.
All right. Fair enough.
All right. My number 4, as I've said before, I like Warcraft for the lore. And one of my favorite storylines from Warcraft 3 was the Arthas storyline when he started going crazy and wanted to purge the world and thought he was actually doing good when he was actually just being a complete asshat pretty much. But so they have a book called Arthas from Christie Golden, and
I think I own this.
really,
Yeah.
so it's a nice book of him growing up and going through his life, and then the transition from that to when he started going crazy, and then ultimately becoming the Lich King.
Matt really likes World of Warcraft, if you guys haven't figured it out yet. I'm watching this podcast.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It hadn't been obvious yet when we had a top 5 books list.
Top 5. It's going to be silly top 5s. He's going to be like, I like the World of Warcraft Band-Aids.
Just put it on there.
Yeah.
All right. My number 4 is actually a series called Kitty Jake by Chris Wooding. The first book is called Retribution Falls. This was explained to me before I read it as a steampunk firefly.
You've pushed this on me, and I, for some reason, like literally cannot find it for the life of me.
You can find it now. It wasn't released in the U.S. for a long time, but there's tons of copies at like Half Price Books now. They released it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you told me beforehand, and I did this scavenger hunt and failed.
Yeah, you had to order it from the UK beforehand.
Oh, I got it.
But yeah, so pretty much just like Firefly, like misfit crew that goes around getting into trouble bigger than they are. And it's in a steampunk world. And it's one of these books that when I would read it, my teeth would hurt because there's so much going on so fast. I'm grinding my teeth.
Really?
Like the action goes and doesn't let up. It's almost too much.
Wow.
Like your blood's pumping constantly, and I drink a lot of coffee, so it doesn't help that I drank like 4 cups of coffee at the coffee shop I was reading, and just like my head's pulsing, and I'm flipping pages like crazy, and it's nonstop action from beginning to end.
Can't read fast enough.
Yeah, every book opens with a fantastic action scene.
That's all. How many are there? 3?
4.
4.
Yep.
Wow. For some reason, I remember you telling me this, but I think only 1 was out. Or maybe you only told me about Retribution Falls.
When I told you about it, I think 3 were out.
Oh, well. Shows how much I pay attention.
I just told you about Retribution Falls. So
maybe that was, yeah.
Yeah.
My number 3 is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
All right.
It probably would have been farther up on this list, but the next 2 are pretty awesome. I have read the second book. I actually have the compendium or whatever it is, and it has all the books in one. which I didn't know there was a lot more than this, but that's cool. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun book, and I was very, very excited when the movie came out, and I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people kind of did not, but did you enjoy the movie?
I love the movie. I want to read the book. It's on my shelf, but I haven't got to it.
Oh, you haven't read the book?
Yeah. I have a problem. I would say a problem. A hard time reading books that I've seen movies for. Because if I know the end, it's hard for me to enjoy the adventure.
Gotcha.
My number 3, there was just one day I was sitting around and I decided I'm going to start reading books. And when you do that, this is, probably 10 years ago, I think, right when me and my wife got together. And so I went big and I decided to start with it. Which is like 1,200 pages or something like that.
That's insane. Is he getting paid by word at that point?
I don't know, but but I will say though, as crazy as it sounds, I never understood like you were talking about the blood pumping and stuff like that. But when I read this book, the mere mention, because it went through there's a lot of like backward storytelling, and they would go through certain timelines. Because Pennywise had just been around forever, but every time that name came up, man, you got those chills. I never had a book do that to me.
Yeah,
and I never thought it could happen. Man. But I'm sitting there reading this book, and when they would start talking about these stories from like the 18 whatevers, and they talk about a fair came to town, and there was this clown Pennywise. It's just you get that chill, and it's pretty neat. So That's Stephen King, awesome. Obviously.
I affirm that one. Yeah, Stephen King. I'm glad you put him on your list because I feel bad for not putting him on my list. Like he's one. I got lots of authors that I want on the list that are not on there.
Right.
He's definitely one of them.
Yeah, but he probably isn't on your list because I'm willing to bet you have a couple of medieval fantasy things like that, and he just doesn't write in that genre.
Gunslinger.
I was about to say the movie about to come out.
Yeah, the Gunslinger series is phenomenal. Actually, I'm kind of wondering if I should put him on my list.
Should I change this?
Yeah. There's Idris Elba is playing the Gunslinger. He's the guy that played what's the Keeper in Thor.
Oh, nice.
What's his name?
The guy with the sword. Do he have a sword?
Yeah, he's a sword. And he protects the little.
Hamlin.
He's really tall.
Himdall. There we go.
Or was he only tall in the movie?
I think he's still decently tall.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, yeah. So movies coming out. That is fantastic books.
Gunslinger.
Yeah, Gunslinger series.
Write this down. Check it out.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's actually not my number 3. So here's my
number 3.
It could have been. Number 3 is the Stormlight Archives. Brandon Sanderson. So if you're a fan of epic fantasies, there's only 2 books out right now for this. There's gonna be a third. But this is probably the cream of the crop for epic fantasies. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just
amazing.
All the bad epic fantasies from before and just forget those even exist. I don't know.
Is this the one with the really interesting magic system?
So Brandon Sanderson always has interesting magic systems. This one included. Yeah. So they're like little simple things that happen in there. Like in this book, a lot of the magic comes from you see these things in the world called Spren, and they're these little, I don't know, like fairies or little things that show up and they're kind of translucent and they come around certain things. But one thing you have is something called rot Spren. They show up when rot shows up in the body. And so it's kind of like how you can advance medical technology without actually having advanced medical technology. You see a rot Spren, you do something that scares it away, you know to do that. So he does little interesting things like that. That's not really what the book's about.
Gotcha.
I don't know how to explain this one.
No, that's fine. I mean, Brandon Sanderson apparently writes some really good stuff, though, because you're super into him.
Yeah, he's my favorite author. And he did finish Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time.
Oh, yeah. That's true. All right, well, my number 2 is a Star Wars book.
Ooh.
Tales of the Bounty Hunters. It's a short story book where it has basically 5 different stories in the same novel. And it goes over the stories of the bounty hunters that are in the episode 5, where, all the bounty hunters are standing there, like right. IG-88, Bosch, and Boba Fett, obviously, and I forget the other 2. It goes over all their stories, and it was just really, really fun to read.
Oh wow. Okay.
You should totally, if you like that bounty hunter stuff, it's a really good book because it's kind of like the Retribution Falls thing you were talking about. The entire thing is action, but like the action, it's just the stories are short, so they're packing a lot within those short stories.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll just check it out. A confession to make. I didn't watch Star Wars till I was much, much older.
Well, that's fair.
And when I watched it, and I saw Boba Fett, I just thought that was it.
Yeah, he was a big deal, but only had 5 lines.
Yeah.
And
Right.
one of them was
Yeah. Deadpool.
That was an epic rap battle reference right there. Deadpool versus Boba Fett. Look that
Yes.
up on YouTube.
Okay.
Is this me?
Yep. Number 2.
Well, don't worry, Jeremy, because I got Stephen King again.
Yeah. Oh wait, hold on. It's going to be The Shining.
Good job.
Yes.
Good job. Yeah, it's actually The Shining. All with but one chapter that was very boring. Just because he was doing a ton of backstory on the hotel, but it all tied in. It all tied in and actually made more sense. It was just a really, pretty much it was just a chapter of.
Was it like, let's put the brakes on and tell you something else and then come back?
Well, it was like evidently down in the basement of the hotel, they found all the old newspaper clippings that pretty much kind of started letting you see how it always had like weird crap going on. And it was just a whole chapter of that. Outside of that one chapter, though, the whole book, and it's not that it's amazing to see he's got these huge, thick, crazy books, and he did just as good a job in like The Shining that is like a third of the size.
Wow.
So,
Well, that's probably because that was one of his first books, right?
I don't know that.
Because it wasn't until later in his career that he started getting paid by word.
Yeah.
I think
The Shining was.
It might have been though because he always had the knack of any character had 10 pages devoted to them, and there's not the amount of characters in that book versus all the other ones, so that
That's
could
true.
have something to do with it.
did he
Definitely
do
earlier book.
what's that movie called? The Last Stand? Did he do
The
Last
Stand.
Stand? Oh, The Stand.
I've read that one too.
To Stand. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've only seen the TV
like
series
4
on.
times.
I know that's what I said. I went big.
I haven't seen or I haven't read the book, but I've seen the TV series, the little mini series they did. Is that as good as the book? I feel like everybody's always going to say no,
the
but
book is way better.
really,
I think that was so like that and it were so cheesy compared to the books.
gotcha.
And really, I don't like The Shining either after I read the book. Shining was like one of my favorite movies in high school. Then I read the book and I was like, that movie is garbage.
Wow.
Spoiler alert: he does not yell, "Here's Johnny" in the book.
Oh, that was improv.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking for that the entire time I read that book.
Really? Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's improv. I'm pretty sure it was on a little special where it talks about, or it was on YouTube where it's the top 10 improv scenes. That and like Robert De Niro and Taxi Driver.
What the who you looking at?
Yeah.
Or what you looking or whatever that thing.
You looking at me?
You looking
or
at me,
whatever?
that's what it is, yeah.
That's all improv. So
That's why he's the man.
fair enough.
All right, my number 2, kind of changing lanes here on this one. Well, it's funny because one of the guys who wrote it is named Timothy Lane. A book by David Paul Tripp.
What?
Tripp and Lane.
Trip and Lane.
David Paul Tripp and Timothy Lane, because we're taking a trip down this lane. I'm sorry.
He made an awesome joke and we lost it. Matt, where have we been?
Someone's laughing.
I hope so. Anyways, it's a book called How People Change. So this is like a kind of a little diversion from like my normal fantasy sci-fi. Gets into more my theology side. But basically it's a book about how people develop, how people grow, and how you kind of look at yourself and how circumstances affect you. And you kind of like deep dive on yourself and like, okay, how do I react to these? How do I respond to these? And it's almost like in a like, okay, why do I react poorly to certain situations? How can I react better? How can I love people better? In the case of this book, how do I love God better? But I think in general, our culture has a very, inside, Christian circles and outside of Christian circles, a very take me as I am, like, not like, I'm fine the way I am kind of mentality. If you don't like it, get out of here. So I think we've kind of lost the art of, like inward looking and like trying to be better people. And so that's why I love this book is like, okay, look on the inside. Why do you react the way you do? Why do you act the way you do? So it speaks to me a lot, and especially in our culture where it's just very, oh, there's nothing wrong with me, or I'm not going to fix anything wrong with me.
Yeah, it's always about you need to change, not me.
Exactly. Like, yeah, you, Tim, if you don't like what I'm doing, obviously there's something wrong with you.
Right. Yeah.
No, there's probably something wrong with me. It's like the very mentality of like, oh, I got your back even if you're wrong. Well, no, you're wrong. So.
I am totally against that statement and thought process.
I'm calling you out.
If you're wrong, I don't even care if you're my best friend. Like, for instance, if you did something really, really bad, I'm not going to feel obligated to like give you sanctuary. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be like, look, dude, you need to like own up to your situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
no, I totally agree with that statement.
Yep.
Let's move on to some honorable mentions because I feel like I need to mention these. One, I'm going to say rule books. The reason I say this is because I'm a very technical person.
I expected this on your list anyways, but I didn't know if you were going to go with it.
Yeah. Rule books and tech manuals. One, you can't really pick a favorite. So, I mean, what am I going to say? Oh, I really, the book to Mage Knight was great. Mm-hmm. It was fun the first time. And past that, I'm like, where's everything? I can't find anything. Anyway, but rule books are really nice. I really like reading technical things or really precise instructions. Obviously, being in IT, a lot of the things I read are IT manuals and certification books, and they're very rule bookish as well. So I really enjoy reading them for some odd reason. When I read novels, I literally fall asleep. Mm-hmm. But it's sad because I'm reading it. I'm like, I'm so excited.
Right.
I'm falling asleep, but I'm so excited. I don't know what's wrong with my brain.
But if you start reading how to properly calculate a subnet.
Yeah, I'm like this is great. Let me get out my whiteboard. It's just really fun. So,
I like. I'm going to throw two in here, but I like trivial kind of books. So there was a
trivia or trivia.
Trivia, I guess.
Okay.
And so there was a line of books. One of them was called "Do Penguins Have Knees?" And it was pretty much a book that they like, do penguins have knees? What happens to your social security number when you die? Why do girls' shirts button opposite of males? All these questions like that, and this guy would answer them. But it was like
why do they?
Because back in the day, if I remember right, when they made armor, they made it so that most people were right-handed, so that the seam was going away and would glance. And because if the seam on your armor went the other way, it would catch. Oh. So they just kept that tradition of making the buttons go the same way. And the reason
I want this book.
And the reason girls go the other way is because usually if you had buttons on your shirt and you were a female, you were rich enough to have someone dress you, and it was easier for them to button.
Oh, because they're looking at you.
Because they're looking at you to do it.
This is great.
So it was a book filled of things like that. And then the other one to go along with it was the Uncle John's bathroom reader.
Yes.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
I worked at a hospital where something I read out of that book allowed me to talk to my CEO for 15 minutes.
That's awesome. What's your honorable mentions, Jeremy?
My honorable mention is the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan.
How is this is this an honorable mention because you can't put all of them as number one?
This is an honorable mention because I think that Robert Jordan was fantastic. I just think there's a lot of people now that are phenomenal.
I gotcha.
He stay, like
what did he kind of stay like level the whole time?
Yeah, he's still a giant in the sense that people writing fantasy now stood on his shoulders. So you kind of got like Tolkien, and then you got Jordan, and then you got everybody else when it comes to fantasy. So Tolkien kind of created modern day fantasy, and then Jordan perfected modern day fantasy.
I gotcha.
The reason why I put him on there, not only for that, is because that's how I got started reading. I picked up a Wheel of Time book, the first one, and I'd never loved reading before then. I never even liked reading before then. And then I read through that entire series. My brother liked it. So it's fantastic. And he really got me into reading. And from then on, I was reading all the time.
That's cool. Yeah, I downloaded I acquired the PDF versions of these. That's a lot of pages.
They're a lot. There's could be 1,000+ pages a book. There's 14 books now.
Yeah,
my Lord.
The other reason why it goes into the honorable mention is there's an unfortunate book called The Heart of Winter book 8, which actually feels like you're in the heart of winter and things are going incredibly slow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just like you read that book and you're like, I might be done with this series.
Oh, wow. It's that bad.
It's that bad.
That slow. Well, let's move on to number ones. Drum roll, but we don't have. Well, we actually do have drums here, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So my number one, we can honor Jeremy with the last speaking of the number ones.
Oh, yes.
My number one is the War Machine rule book. Now, the reason I say this is because just like the magazines, it is full of War Machine stories and fluff and backgrounds and things like that. So it's not necessarily a novel, but it has just as much content as a novel, if not more.
Gotcha.
Fantastic. The fluff. They have what's called the Skull Island Expeditions. It's a publishing arm of Privateer Press. They have a lot of novels and things like that. And I own one, just haven't read it. So I'm assuming that maybe I'll end up liking those books if I get around to reading them. But until then, the War Machine fluff from the rule book.
Gotcha. Mine is me and my wife wait for this to come in every month. And it's because we get the Walking Dead comic book in the mail every month. So Robert Kirkman. Yeah. So
fair enough. I didn't think about putting comic books, but that's
I would think that would count.
Yeah, no, it counts.
Yeah.
I've never put a single one on mine.
Yeah. So, but
that was a good 5 minutes.
That got started with just one day, me and my wife, comic book store. We saw it in there. I think they were on. Well, we picked up the trade paperbacks or whatever. The pretty much 4
like
comics.
A volume.
Yeah, and so we picked up one just on a whim. Took it home, read it, and I don't think we went that night, but we went the next day
and bought another one
to buy up to where they were in the comics.
Wow!
And then we've been getting the comics from I think issue 30 something.
Now let me ask you something. We could make an entire topic out of this, so let's try not to.
Okay.
Comparing it to the TV series, what do you say?
They've obviously made changes. They make changes. I feel they make changes based on actors and actresses they want to or don't want to work with anymore. So they find ways to mess with the story in that sense.
You think it's a lot of politics now?
I believe so.
Marketing too.
Yeah.
Don't kill off your favorite character.
Yeah. So there's you can draw parallels with the show in the
Game of Thrones don't care.
Yeah. But you can draw parallels, and they're like Andrea is killed in the show, and she's still alive in the comic. She's Rick's,
I kind of like that they did directions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, I mean,
I feel like I like the directions they're going. It's almost like they're traveling the same path, but an alternate dimension to get there.
Yeah. But like I said, I think it's just made based on political reasons, or don't want to, don't get along with someone, or they get along with certain people better, and that's why they make their storylines drag out longer. And
Well, let me ask you this: do you like because the comic books do have a little bit more comic-y things happening, and I don't say comic as in a funny haha comic, but as in like a more outlandish, like people losing hands, and I mean not just losing hands, but like getting shot in the face. Didn't somebody lose an eye?
That's happened in the show already.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Never mind. Yeah. Spoiler alert.
But I will say this. I think I questioned this even when they started the series. And again, spoiler alert, in the comic.
At this point, you should have turned this off.
Yeah. Right. Lori is carrying their newborn child when the governor attacks, and she is shot and a bullet goes through her and the baby. The baby's still alive. They made you think it died at a certain point, but I kind of question if they were ever really going to get that dark and kill a baby.
Mm-hmm. Also, they let it live.
Yeah, it's still, that baby's still alive. So I think they just didn't think maybe America was ready to have a main character's child die or something. I don't know. The baby is still alive at the moment, but
I guess final answer is it seems like you like the comics better.
I enjoy the show a lot, but I will say that whenever we started watching Game of Thrones, I like it better. So
fair enough.
Even though I do love the comic, I'm it's not like I just have pure, whatever Walking Dead show does. I love it. So
Yeah.
Speaking of that, and to backtrack just a minute to my honorable mentions, I meant to write this down earlier because I thought about it, but I am going to put the Game of Thrones paperback or the first one on there. And here's why it doesn't go on the list. It's because Jeremy was like, hey, you want to start reading Game of Thrones with us at work? I was like, oh, okay. And then it's like, I'm halfway through the book. HBO comes out. It's like, Game of Thrones season 1. I'm like, closed. So, but yeah, that first season was, wow. I've never read a book and then watched a TV series and had what I was thinking appear on screen. It was so close to the novel. I don't know about the other seasons, but season 1 specifically was like, they used it as a script. Did you think that?
Maybe. I don't remember. I haven't watched much of the show.
Oh, you haven't watched the show?
I watched the first 2 seasons, I think, then I dropped it after that.
Well, I'm only talking about the first season.
Oh, the first season?
In comparison to the novel and how close they are.
I can actually agree with you on it.
Close.
Yeah.
Because it's, I read half the book. I started to read it because I wanted to try and read something again. Actually, going into this last season, I thought I was going to be able to catch up with it, and it wasn't going to happen.
Well, you can probably at least catch up with the novels.
Yeah. And so, yeah. But reading the first season and like sitting there reading it, it's like, this is exactly how it happened in the book.
Yeah.
I mean, on the show.
Right.
So it was pretty spooky to see how close they actually kept it on the first book. They've changed things since then.
Yeah, I figure they probably had in newer ones, but that first season, man, there's no need to read the book. Well,
Yeah.
I guess if you like books.
Yeah.
Anyway, grand finale, Jeremy.
Well, I actually got one more question for Matt.
Oh.
So I was wondering, because you're talking about reading the graphic novels, will reading the graphic novels enhance or take away from my love of the show? Like, will it make me want to watch the show more, or should I wait till the show's finished and
That's a
I
good
like
question.
the show and then go for the graphic novels?
Oh, so you have not read the comic at all?
I have not read the comic at all. I like the show.
Sorry.
Sorry, I got a roommate that does the same thing. So I know everything that happens.
No, because there is some pretty graphic stuff that happens in the comic that they'll never put on the show. Without spoiling anything anymore, there's things that happen in the comic that they'll never do in the show. And so, yeah, reading the comic will be better, I think, in that sense. You tend to watch the show and just fall in love with the actors and actresses, but yeah, reading the comic, you'll be fine. You'll enjoy it.
Sweet.
Cool.
I'll check it out.
All right, now grand finale number 1, Jeremy.
The finale for them all. So, as you guys know, I'm a Christian, so my number 1 is obviously the Bible.
No.
Fair enough.
You know, surprise there. It's the cheesy answer, but it's the right answer that I go for.
No, that's cool. I mean, I've got the manga Bible.
So, interesting story actually. We
It's
went to
kinda cool,
Japan,
actually.
and we had manga Bibles that we gave out, and they gave me one to take home because they wouldn't give them out, and they're like, "Hey, you can take this one home." I'm like, "Don't you want to give this one out?" They're like, "No, the character on the front looks like Japanese Jesus with the spiky hair and everything." He's like, "The character on the front looks exactly like a mass murderer." And nobody was taking our Bibles.
Really?
So they changed the look of Jesus.
Like a
on the
mass
front.
murder from a manga? Or a mass murder in
like,
real life?
In real life. Like he came out and they'd already made all these like Japanese manga Bibles, and he came out and he did his thing, mass murdered people, and he looked just like the Jesus on the front of the cover.
What? Okay, manga Bible.
Like Japanese anime.
So it's pretty much telling the story. It's just.
Yeah, it's got like pictures. It's all manga. Like it's got.
I gotcha. Okay.
Pictures
Yeah.
and.
It's like reading a anime graphic novel.
Yeah.
How thick is that? Is that pretty big?
It's like
Well,
this. I think the one I had was like the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
I don't think the whole thing's told.
Oh, okay, got you.
It's like the major stories are manga, and then you go through text, and then it's manga, and then text, and manga.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
So, or at least mine is. I'm assuming yours is probably the same, because otherwise, if it would be like 50 volumes.
Right. That's what I was wondering. Okay.
I mean, when the Bible's printed on see-through paper, basically, because it's so
Right, so
thin,
thin.
that is a massive book. Yeah.
Mhm.